Hey friends, welcome back. This is a big episode where we hit some iconic Canadian national parks. It's a 3-in-1. We've got Revelstoke, we've got Yoho, and we've got Banff on an August long weekend, no less. Don't worry, you don't have to fight the crowds. Just sit back, ride along with us.
We left our life of luxury, drinking wine and playing mini golf in Kelowna, and headed back into the wilderness. Our first stop was Revelstoke National Park. It's a smaller park, and we had one night of camping, which we scored last minute, which was great. And really, that's all you kind of needed. It was a great little park. We did a really neat scenic drive and had great weather for this. There's some cool stops along the scenic drive, which was really unique and some very nice views.
So the first of those stops was an area where they used to do international ski jumping competitions, and you learned about the history of Nils Nelson, a famous Canadian ski jumper who represented us in the Olympics way back in 1928. And a really unique feature here was the kind of brace that you could lean into out off of the ski jump and have a look down that pitch. And it was enough for me to say, I don't think I have a future in ski jumping. No, thank you. From there, it was on up to the meadows in the sky up on the top of the mountain. And we had a great walk here looking at some of the alpine flowers, some views of the Columbia River, and just a really scenic stop. But like you say, you can do this one in about an afternoon if the weather's nice.
Next up, we hit Yoho National Park. We had originally planned to just stay 2 nights and had that reserved, but then we ended up kind of staying an extra 3 nights in a first come first serve campground that was really nice because we were actually planning to go to Jasper, but of course due to the wildfires, which is incredibly tragic for the town, and there was no entry to Jasper, and we really just wanted to stay out of the way for crews working there and people that had to be evacuated. But also, Yoho is really close to Lake Louise and not that far from the Icefields Parkway that you could still go up.
So within Yoho itself, we get out for a few short hikes. We get up to Emerald Lake on our first day there, I think it was. Out to a couple of the waterfalls. We've got a little montage here for you of Takaka Falls and Wapta Falls, as well as the Natural Bridge. So lots to see right within Yoho. Then, as Holly mentioned, Yoho's also pretty close to Banff, just down the road. So what we did one day is we drove, I don't know, maybe 10 kilometers or so out towards Banff, but we knew that the traffic would be crazy, especially the parking at Lake Louise, which I think is about $35. They do that to discourage people from parking and encouraging them to take the shuttles and such instead. We pulled off, got our bikes off the van, and then biked on the abandoned Highway 1A, which was a really scenic bike ride, pretty quiet, really nice views. They had an abandoned tourist area there of the Great Divide, which was kind of derelict now, but it was really neat. So the Great Divide being where waters to the west of this pour towards the Pacific, and all the waters to the east. I feel like we're a long way from the Atlantic Ocean. The waters to the east of the Great Divide head towards the Atlantic. So that was just kind of a neat stop as well. And that got us into Lake Louise without having to fight with the traffic, without having to fight parking. And yes, it was busy and a bit crazy. We had some nice views there. We did not jump in a canoe for, I think, $155 for a half hour. Lots of tourists there getting out on the water. Kind of fun to see, kind of fun not to fight with the traffic as well, though.
The other thing we did based out of Yoho National Park is we drove up part of the Icefield Parkway, like as far as we could go. This made a great day. We did lots of lookouts, and we actually did a hike. An average hike. It was fairly good, up about maybe 3 kilometers up to the top of Bow Summit, and we also got a lookout over Peto Lake. We did get some rain on the way down, so we did get a little bit wet, but it was still pretty warm out. It was fine, and it was pretty busy. It was kind of the rain kind of got a few people out of the way, and after the rain, we got in a few more little lookouts. So it turned out to be a pretty good day.
Some of the traffic and some of the parking lots were simply a no-go on the way up there. I've got a bit of dash cam of that. But we did manage to find our stops and made a great day of it. Just the drive itself was pretty scenic too. I enjoyed some of that. Now, this was probably only about the 5th time that it's rained on us this whole trip, which is unbelievable. And it was the first hailstorm just after we got back to our campsite. Fortunately, no damage to the van or to the solar panels, even though there's some pretty sizable chunks of hail. We just sat there and enjoyed some wacky weather for a few minutes.
It was just a short distance for us to drive to Banff National Park from Yoho. And along the way, we stopped and decided to hike the Johnson Canyon. The start of the hike, very busy. Tour groups. We got some photos of the lineups. It's just mayhem.
This was just to take your picture with the waterfall.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's 2 waterfalls, and there was a lineup at both. It was kind of nuts. But once we got kind of past that point, we kept on hiking, and we had some nice views, and ended up at what they call the ink pots. And ink pots themselves are really neat. These are the springs of water, and they're all kind of a inky color because of the mineral content. And it was just kind of nice and serene, not too many people, so really nice up there. So well worth doing this hike, and the crowds they're really manageable, not too big of a deal. From there, on to our campground at Lodge Pool, which was just right on the edge of the town of Banff.
And this worked out really good for the bus service because I was worried about parking the van in town or dealing with traffic. We could just take this bus right from our campsite down into town in, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. And then it was about $2 to catch the bus back up after dinner or what have you. So pro tip for you there on how to get around in Banff without having to fight the traffic. The other pro tip for all of Canada's national parks, we booked our campsites way back in January, not just the day that it opened, but the minute that it opened. We were on our laptops getting reservations, and you were just watching the campsites disappear in front of your eyes as you tried to get yours booked. These are incredibly popular parks, but you can get them if you think ahead. And don't be fearful of the crowds. You can make it work once you do get there as well. This was a good stop.
If I were to plan a trip out there, September or maybe earlier, like before the school's out, we were probably there at the worst and busiest time, and we realized that. And so just another tip would be maybe perhaps avoid August.
Good tip.
And now to the stats. So a new stat for you is precipitation types. We've now had 3, includes rain, snow, and hail. And 4 bike flips, I believe we're at right now.
I snuck in a couple more here in recent stops. We've also covered over 21,000 kilometers now in the van. The van is holding up great. And we've added 3 Canadian national parks now to our list of national parks for over 20.
Speaking of mileage, Banff is only 3,500 kilometers from home in Ottawa. However, we do have a few more exciting things to show you, so keep watching.
We've got a out of this world stop in Alberta. We've got a world famous wood chipper in North Dakota, and we check in on our good friend Zorro as we hit the farm. Where else are you going to find this kind of variety on a YouTube channel? Just a few episodes left. Stick around and we'll see you soon.